Gazzetta, Football Italia. Cute titles. Well, here I am back in my house, finding a little bit of time to relax this week. As you know, I've hit the headlines this week and last week, and here I am, still relaxing and with a smile on my face. But I'll be talking about that later. First, this.
Coming up, a report from inside the Italian national camp as they prepare for their big World Cup clash against Portugal. And there's highlights of that vital Group 1 qualifier from Oporto. James Richardson with all the news from behind the week's headlines. Your chance to win an Italian national shirt signed by Roberto Baggio, plus boots and a ball in our popular competition. Paul Gascoigne hits back at newspaper claims that he's cracking up, and he pays a personal tribute to the late, great Bobby Moore. There's goal action from the promotion race in Serie B. And we preview tomorrow's big live game, leaders Milan against fast-improving Sampdoria. And there's a special report on the champion's unsung hero, goalkeeper Sebastiano Rossi, a man who just can't stop saving penalties.
This week has been a very tough week in Italy for me. I've had a lot of problems with journalists, but that's all behind me, and I've enjoyed training this week. We have a tough match against Genoa on Sunday, and hopefully we can play well and get a good result with me also in the team. Also in Italia, they've had a very tough international match against Portugal, away at Portugal. I won't tell you the result this week, but James has been along before the match to talk to the Italians.
Greetings from Coverciano, where amid the traditional atmosphere of criticism and controversy, the Italian national team is continuing its World Cup preparations. Now, Italy is a country still firmly disappointed with its national squad and coach Arrigo Sacchi. After all the hard work and money that's been spent on them, they still lack consistency, structure and above all, results. So, as this rather ugly duckling squad prepares for a crucial World Cup qualifier against Portugal, Italy holds its breath to see if this time it'll transform itself into the swan they've been expecting ever since Arrigo Sacchi took over.
Sappiamo che dobbiamo imparare ancora tante cose, che non siamo ancora al massimo della condizione sia tattica e probabilmente anche mentale.
Italy currently lies second in their World Cup qualifying group, from which of course just 2 teams will go through to America. They're just ahead of Scotland, but with Switzerland already well placed to qualify, Italy's biggest rivals for the other place are the Portugal side they must now face. Italy started their qualifications last September amidst considerable optimism that swiftly evaporated though after a disastrous opening performance at home to the Swiss. Without regular captain Franco Baresi, the Italians went 2-0 down in the first half and just scraped a last-minute draw after goals by Baggio and Eragno. And he scored!
The Italians have pulled one back, 7 minutes to go, and it's 2-1. Almost everybody now pressing forward for the Italians. Di Chiara, not clear, this is Eragno, and it's there! It's 2-2!
After the Swiss game, the Italians went off to Glasgow for an inconclusive 0-0 draw with Scotland, after which came the December fixture with Malta. Now this was meant to be a real Christmas present of a game, an easy opportunity for Italy's first official win. Instead, the Italians played so badly that they only just avoided another draw when the Maltese missed the last-minute penalty kick. The Italians' performance was so bad that after the game, the Federation President publicly apologised to Italian fans. And how often does that happen? And Arrigo Sacchi, well, he went back to the drawing board.
La partita di Malta
si è rivelata così difficile anche per quei portoghesi. Dicevano che il Portogallo andava là a vincere, stravincere, e invece ha vinto a fatica 1-0, per cui ormai al giorno d'oggi tutte le partite sono difficili.
Malta certainly proved difficult for Italy, and Portugal may well do too. Sacchi got a chance to test out his No Baresi squad in a recent friendly against Mexico in January. Goals from Paolo Maldini and once again Roberto Baggio gave Italy a 2-0 win. But on the whole, it was another uncomfortable performance and one that left the critics unsatisfied. The chief argument against Sacchi, and it is a strong one, is that a year on, the Italian national team still lacks any concrete answers from all his experiments. He certainly hasn't given them the results expected, but neither has he used the time to develop certain players, constructing a solid base for the team.
That said, though, Sacchi has stayed unbeaten as national coach longer than anyone else in the history of Italian football. So is the criticism just?
Ma ci sono delle cose giuste, sì. Tatticamente non siamo ancora perfetti. Noi abbiamo dei buoni giocatori, però non riusciamo a fare quello che chiede il signor Sacchi.
Which is a pity because the pressure on Sacchi is considerable. His national team programme receives £8.5 million in budget from TV and sponsors alone every year. He himself gets £750,000 annual personal salary. So after a year of his direction, you can understand the impatience since as yet Italy hasn't seen what it's waiting for.
Ma penso che bisogna avere fiducia che i risultati arriveranno perché siamo una buona squadra con un ottimo allenatore. I risultati dovranno arrivare per forza.
Ma un anno non è abbastanza?
No, penso sia sufficiente, non è tantissimo ma penso sia sufficiente.
Sacchi anche al Milan all'inizio ha avuto forse questi problemi che dicevano che però poi il tempo gli ha dato ragione e sicuramente sarà, speriamo anche qua.
Fuser is one of two new additions to the national squad as Sacchi shuffles his players once again. The defence is the main question mark, with Baresi's absence compounded by the missing Manini, Sacchi's first-choice right-back. Two veterans, Viekawad and Tassotti, fill in. Signori, Serie A's leading bomber, continues to draw attention. He looks set to return to a more forward role, with Casiraghi replacing the troubled Gianluca Vialli as Baggio's partner. Casiraghi has to be one of the few Juventus forwards who scored less than Vialli, both at club and national level, in the last year. But Sacchi has declared his faith that this time Casiraghi will repay his trust.
This coming away game against Portugal is rated as one of the most difficult in Italy's World Cup qualifications. On the bright side, Portugal played perhaps even worse than Italy did against Malta, coming away with a 1-0 win. But that was without, let's keep in mind, this man. Paolo Futri, 27-year-old striker with Benfica, 4 goals so far for the national team and already approached by Inter and Roma for the next season in Italy. He and Rui Aguas are the men most cited by Italians as their most dangerous opponents in the Portuguese team, but also of concern to Italy has to be Portugal's talent for pressing and breaking up opponents' play.
Sono molto preparati tatticamente, poi conosciamo tutti i portoghesi, hanno questa scuola brasiliana e sono bravi tecnicamente. Noi ci abbiamo giocato già contro negli Stati Uniti quest'estate e mi hanno fatto un'ottima impressione perché sono veramente una buona squadra.
In ogni caso è una squadra che ha ottime individualità, dei buoni contenuti tattici ed è una squadra che può creare dei problemi, credo, a qualsiasi equipe europea.
Sì, sappiamo che sarà una gara difficile, però l'Italia deve essere sempre ottimista perché una squadra come l'Italia deve giocare per qualificarsi per il Mondiale 94. È impensabile pensare a un Mondiale senza l'Italia.
So, has Sacchi found the answers at last? Will the Italian national team finally come up with a performance to convince their critics? Or will Portugal just be more fuel to their fires?
Find out by joining us after the break for Portugal-Italy.
Welcome back. The scene already set for Italy's match in Portugal. Now let's join Peter Brackley for the best of the action.
As usual, the Portuguese side is built around the contingents from the two leading clubs, Porto and Benfica, including Paulo Futre, the outstanding Portugal player of the past decade. Futre now with Benfica after his recent controversial transfer from Atletico Madrid. And Portugal have unearthed a real gem in number 7, Luis Figo of Sporting Lisbon, the club coached by former England manager Bobby Robson. Well, Arrigo Sacchi, the Italian coach, selected his side from a squad of only 17 players. Just the one new face in his starting lineup, Diego Fuser, who's having an exceptional first season with Lazio. Sampdoria's Pietro Viekawad replaces Franco Baresi, who's suspended. Indeed, there are two 33-year-olds in the back four for Italy tonight. As well as Vierkavod, Sacchi has also called up Milan's Mauro Tassotti at right back. Tassotti replacing the injured Manini of Sampdoria. Italy then in the blue shirts to kick off. Arrigo Sacchi's 13th match in charge, and hoping it'll be a lucky 13 as he endeavours to find the right blend to enhance Italy's so far rather faltering and certainly unconvincing World Cup progress. A crowd of around 50,000 in the stadium. There's a cracking atmosphere and a really important World Cup game for both these two sides. Jean Pinto in quickly, and Futre caught offside. Very much the danger man in the Portugal side. Fell out with the Atletico Madrid president, Jesus Gil, and at one stage seemed to be going back to Sporting Lisbon, the club where he began his career. But then Benfica controversially stepped in at the last moment, and the row is still simmering on. Fernando Mendes. The pass from Figo to Futre, who will come in for some very careful attention, I'm sure, from the Italian defenders. Both teams unbeaten in the group so far. Portugal having drawn with Scotland, a goalless draw, and beaten Malta away from home. Italy have had a 2-2 draw with Switzerland at home, a goalless draw away to Scotland, and a 2-1 victory away to Malta when Baresi was sent off. Fernando Mendes taking the throw. One of the Benfica players in the side. This is Vierkavod. Now Maldini, who's captaining Italy in the absence of Baresi. Roberto Baggio! And it's a goal! What a start for Italy, just 2 minutes gone. And Roberto Baggio sweeps them into the lead. Fabulous pass by Maldini. And some really sloppy Portuguese defending, all looking round there for an offside flag. That simply didn't happen. Roberto Baggio, who scored 5 times now in 6 internationals. And he really is in exhilarating form. Just the start that Italy had hoped for. Signori. Fernando Couto. João Pinto, experienced defender in the Portugal side. Stunning blow to concede that early goal. Down goes Futre. Clattered from behind by the formidable figure of Pietro Vierkavod. João Pinto and Semedo organising the free kick. Away by Dino Baggio. Maldini. Straight though to João Pinto. Now Domingos. Bit of a miscue really by Vierkavod. Italy struggling to get the ball away. Casiraghi, it was yanked back then by Fernando Couto. Referee Bo Carlson from Sweden, right on the spot. Casiraghi, ironically preferred in the side to Gianluca Vialli, his Juventus teammate, who of course is keeping him out of the Juve side. Costa Curta with the free kick then for Italy. Unbeaten since Sacchi took charge. And again there's a collision there between Fernando Couto and Casiraghi. And it looked at first viewing there as if the elbow of Fernando Couto struck Casiraghi in the face, and Casiraghi took a whack there at Fernando Couto. So both players could be in trouble. And in fact, it's just a caution for the Italian number 9, Pierluigi Casiraghi. Held there, Baggio. This is Fernando Mendes. Patient approach play by Portugal. They really haven't created too much to trouble Italy so far. And they won't do this time either. Plenty of time for Tassotti. Coolly back to Paliuca, the Sampdoria goalkeeper. Tassotti. Another confrontation involving Casiraghi and Fernando Couto. And there's a personal war raging between these two. Off goes Fuser. His path though cut out by Fernando Mendes. Now João Pinto for Portugal. Well read though by Maldini. Roberto Baggio. Swept across by Maldini, just beyond Casiraghi. Javier. Now Semedo drilling it across towards Futre. And he did well then. Now here's a chance. Domingos! Oh, he screwed it wide. The best chance to come Portugal's way in this first half. And it's been squandered by Domingos, the Porto striker. Glorious pass slipped through then by Futre. Great vision shown by him. But the finish was very poor. Fernando Couto. It goes Dino Baggio. Futre could make nothing of that one. Here's Dino Baggio of Juventus. Now Tassotti, winning his second cap tonight. Fuser, who's claiming his first. Dino Baggio. Certainly Italy playing with confidence, and they've dominated for quite long periods in the first half. Great pass through then by Albertini, and Casiraghi makes it 2. Chilling finish by Casiraghi. And the second goal, 25 minutes. Casiraghi's second for his country, and set up by the vision of Albertini. No chance there for Bayer. Finished off in style by Casiraghi. João Pinto. Given away though. It's there for Bayer. Holding on well. No, it's a goal! Style by Casiraghi. It looked there as if an arm was snaked out, but the referee has given the goal. Fernando Couto is claiming it. And Portugal are right back in the game. A controversial goal though. Now, Paliuca underneath it. Was he fouled? Well, maybe. And there certainly looks to be an arm there that punches the ball in. Memories revived of Diego Maradona's famous goal against England back in '86. Now, Fernando Mendes to Futre. Lovely skill. He's such an exciting player when he's in full flow. Taking on Fuser. Rui Aguas. Another chance. Oh, and Rui Barros has steered it over the bar. What a miss by the former Juventus player. Rui Barros now plays for Monaco in France. Great jump there by Rui Aguas. And how did he contrive to squander that chance? Set up initially by Futre's cross. The header down from Rui Aguas. And all it needed was a more clinical finish than that. Maldini. Italy goes Lentini. Maldini, who's had an excellent game for the Italians. Here's Dino Baggio. Oh, terrific strike. And the 2-goal lead is restored. Dino Baggio with his first international goal. And it really was a venomous strike. And what relief now down on the bench, and dismay for Vitor Bayer and the rest of the Portuguese team, who thought they were right back in contention until that fabulous goal by Dino Baggio, scored with 16 minutes to go. 3-1 to Italy. Here's Maldini with Signori. Italy now just a couple of minutes or so away from what will be An outstanding result for them. Down goes Maldini. Fouzer going through now. Oceano just managing to get the better of him. And I would think Fouzer now with a touch of Fouzer battling away for the Italians. And he's had a very promising first international appearance. We're now into injury time. An excellent result then for Italy that will surely silence Arrigo Sacchi's critics. A really positive step towards qualifying for the finals. One of the team's most difficult hurdles successfully negotiated. Italy still unbeaten under Arrigo Sacchi. The goals from the Juventus trio, the two Baggios and Casiraghi, to make the final score. Portugal 1, Italy 3.
So Italy strengthened their place in Group 1. Their next two matches, against Malta next month and Estonia in April, should see them put pressure on everyone, including the group leaders Switzerland. A good week then for Italy, but let's see what the papers made of it. And with the rest of the news behind the headlines, here's James Richardson.
Hello, Italy 3, Portugal 1. The result the whole country's been waiting for. And just what did the papers make of all that then on Thursday morning? Well, luckily, I have a pile of them right here. Starting with the Messaggero. Salpati, they say, we've set sail. Then onto the Gazzetta Thursday morning. Italian Symphony, they say. Tutto Sport Thursday morning, it's Blue Juve, an article on some new detergent, I think there. Corriere dello Sport Thursday morning, needing no translation though, Grazie Italia. The main talking points after the game were firstly the trio of Juventus players who scored all 3 goals for Italy, and also the extraordinary and unwhistled outbreak of rugby playing that led up to the Portuguese goal. And in fact, after the game, the referee went up to the Italian captain, Paolo Maldini, to apologise for letting that goal stand. Maldini has been praised by just about all of the papers for his performance in the absence of regular captain Franco Baresi. According to Tutto Sport, he seemed to come from another planet, which they mean as a compliment.
Anyway, Italy well on the road to the next World Cup in America. Meanwhile, AC Milan will lose their first 90-minute
game since last April when they were knocked out of the Coppa Italia by Juventus. The shot result came in a friendly against Atletico Bilbao, who managed to beat the unbeatables 2-0. Both goals coming, curiously enough, in the last 4 minutes. A friendly, you say? Well, no doubt Milan were without many of their international players. Well, not really. They still had Boban, Massaro, Baresi, Rossi, Donadoni. The shot loss came from, first of all, a goal from Julian Herrero, who's now under observation from Lazio for next season, and secondly, from a Milan own goal in the 90th minute. Baresi back pass to Rossi. Rossi stuck his foot out for the ball, only to see the ball skip merrily over his foot and into the net. And yea, was he the butt of many a joke afterwards, at least until those artistic whizzes at the Gazzetta furnished us with this artistic explanation. The ball apparently hit a bottle in the grass and bounced over Rossi's foot. Whether the bottle was a little something he himself had brought along to help while away the time hasn't been explained, but rest assured that we will get the full story later on when we have an in-depth chat with Rossi, the man to whom, after all, Milan still owe their unbeaten Serie A record. It's 55 games without defeat now, and their dominance over Serie A is so complete that this week it prompted an extraordinary initiative from the Guerin Sportivo magazine. On the cover, everything looks normal enough. The championship, the most beautiful championship in the world, they say, but inside their secret is revealed. The Scudetto is long gone, they say, so let's amuse ourselves instead with a different championship, one for the best-looking player in Serie A. Yes, it's here, Mr. Serie A 92-93, where Roma with Giannini play on a par with Inter and Zenga, where Juventus and Baggio must fight off Genoa and Tacconi, and where Milan and Maldini face a real threat from Lazio and Paul Gascoigne. All right, so we put that last one in ourselves. Actually, there's no mention in the article of Paul or Des Walker or even David Platt, which seems a bit rotten to me. Still, there is a write-in section where you can nominate your own candidates. The successful entrant will win an autographed game shirt. And first, though, you have to complete the tiebreaker section, nominating 3 adjectives to describe your dreamboat player. Let's see now. Impish, English, flatulent. Well, anyway, talking of Paul Gascoigne, he'll be coming up later as we attempt to get to the bottom of the Geordie wonder. A risky enough process, if you ask me. But anyway, we're going to the truth behind the headlines about how unhappy he is here in Rome. Time now, though, to confirm the rumours about Pasquale Bruno's move from Torino to Manchester City. Bruno, of course, the semi-legendary hitman of Italian football, and you may remember we reported that Tutto Sport was carrying the story of his transfer a couple of months back. Well, remarkably enough, it turns out actually to be true. Bruno went off to Manchester last weekend to train with the team without actually letting Torino know first. But anyway, it looks like everything's been settled between the two clubs. The price for Bruno's transfer, £750,000. Well, finally now on to the news that's brought sad headlines here in Italy as well as over in England. The death of Bobby Moore. Here in the Messaggero, Bobby Moore, the captain of the mythical England, has died. Tuttosport calls him the Lion of England, and Corriere dello Sport simply puts, goodbye captain. All the papers here on Thursday were filled with tributes for the ex-England captain, who was, in the words of Fabio Capello, one of Europe's greatest ever defenders. Well, Paul Gascoigne will be talking to us later about just how much Bobby Moore meant to him as an aspiring footballer. But for now, that's all from the newspapers. Coming up now, our competition.
Well, now it's competition time here on Gazzetta Football Italia. And your chance to win a dream trip to the Italian Cup final, an Italian national shirt autographed by the Juventus superstar Roberto Baggio, plus a ball and boots. Just answer a simple question by ringing us on 0891 333 444. Baggio put Italy on the trail of a World Cup victory when he scored after only 2 minutes of Wednesday's Group 1 qualifying match in Portugal. Dino Baggio scored the third goal to finish off the Portuguese late on. But who scored Italy's second goal? Was it A, Casiraghi, B, Vialli, or C, Signori? The first correct caller picked out by our computer when lines close next Thursday goes into a winner's draw for a dream trip for two to the Italian Cup final in June. They'll also take home this Italian national shirt autographed by Roberto Baggio and some of his international teammates, a ball and some specially designed boots. 5 lucky runners-up win a pair of these stylish Marco van Basten football boots. And all the winners get copies of our newly published Football Italia magazine. This very latest edition contains a review of the first half of the season, background articles on all the emerging stars, and takes you behind the scenes here at Gazzetta Football Italia. In Gazzetta last week, we asked you to tell us the score when England played San Marino in their World Cup qualifier at Wembley. The answer? 6-0. This lucky person goes into the winner's draw for a luxury trip for two to the Italian Cup final and takes home a newly designed England soccer strip. And these 5 lucky runners-up get an old-style Italian football shirt. Finally, remember you can get full details of all our competitions by turning to page 365 of 4Tel, Channel 4's teletext service.
Paul Gascoigne. Now, as we all know, in the last couple of weeks, the papers have been full of headlines about Gazza, about how he's lovesick, about how he's homesick, about how he's sick of Rome and wants to go back to England. Well, we thought we'd stick him on the psychiatrist's couch, or at least as close as we could come to it out here, and find out exactly what is the truth behind all these stories.
Well, there's been a lot of rumours back in England that I'm not happy. The president won't buy another Englishman. I'm lovesick. I'm sick of Italia. There's one thing I won't be, though, is sick, because maybe I might get fined £15,000 for that. Only joking. No, you know, there's been a lot said about and talked about me this week, you know, because one is, you know, I didn't play too well for England. I'm due an off game, you know. Obviously these people have been in the woodworms and haven't been able to slaughter me. They've come out and suddenly got themselves working, you know, done a few articles, but it doesn't bother me one bit. I've had it before and no doubt I'll get it again. You know, as regards lovesick, you know, you've all talked about that. You've all had your little say and you've all read about that. You know, I've got a position here where I live in here and I'm enjoying my football here. The position with, you know, hating Italy. No, I like Italy. It's a very nice place. Although I know the training is very hard and that. There's one thing I have to do is knuckle down to graft and get back on the good terms with everybody. You know, this programme's not all about me, just keep on saying, you know, how bad I am, how good it is and that. But one thing I can put across is that I am enjoying my football. and the only thing I can wait for is the next England game that I can make everyone happy, hopefully. Everybody has problems in the world, and it's just that my problems hit the headlines, whether it's with my girlfriend, whether it's about the kids, whether it's about my football, but mine seems to hit the headlines, unfortunate. But it was good thing to say that when I was back at Italy, in England, you know, I enjoyed myself, and also I didn't play too good for England, but we won the game, and that's important, and that's important for me, that we won the game, because we have 1994 to look forward to. Well, I'm not going to be happy always in Italy, because obviously this is not my country, I don't live here. But there's going to be times where, right, I have to knuckle down, they pay my wages, and I have to work out. The train is hard, yeah. Train is hard, and now I've got to hold my hands up and say, right then, I'm ready, yeah. I'm not ready to fail in Italy. I'm ready to try and be one of the best players in the world, and no doubt I will do that. I've had enough of talking with journalists and papers and say I'm going to do this and do that. Now I'm going to let my feet do it, talking like I did for the last 2 years. And one of the other reasons why I haven't been too happy in Italy is because I have John across, and he keeps playing this flipping Sex Pistols. I keep hiding it, and he keeps finding it, and I keep hiding it, and I keep finding it. Have you ever heard of Sex Pistols? Incredible. So, get lost to Sex Pistols. Well, this week I've trained really well, trained hard. You know, I have enjoyed it, to be fair. I know it's been hard, but I've enjoyed it. I had flu, I caught it off Little Mason. And I'm back training now, everything's going well. We have Genoa on Sunday. It's going to be a tough match away from home, and hopefully, you know, I can, if I play, hopefully get on the score sheet. You get past the play, you just think you're away, and all of a sudden you pull your shirt. That's one thing hopefully we can stamp out, and yeah, but you can't change. I mean, I wouldn't expect anyone to change English football, and I wouldn't expect anybody to change Italian football. One thing I just have to try and get used to. Even 2 weeks ago we didn't have a game on last Sunday, but 2 weeks ago we played against Calgary. I know we didn't win, and all the papers coming out, the knives in the backs again. About Zoff's going to lose his job again. He's not going to lose his job. And another thing, the president about me did not say all that. It was he wouldn't buy another Englishman. I'm sure he would love another 10 like me. So, only joking. The spirit in the camp this week has been very good. The spirit's been very good. You know, the lads have cheered up. I'm sure they'll be more happy as well with Italy just winning the World Cup match against Portugal. Two of the Lazio players playing. Did you ever watch a Portugal game? If you had seen one of the guys that come on as substitute, it's incredible. He was about 3'5", same size as Paul Allen. He was a good player, he could have scored. Well, finally everybody in England, it's made the headlines over here, and it's made the headlines in England. I'm very, very sad to see about the news about Bobby Moore dying this week. It makes people think and wonder. You know, we're not all bad off. It's a great shame how he went. Fantastic man and an unbelievable football player. He done England proud, and I can only hope that one day I can follow in the footsteps the same and win as many honours as Bobby, especially winning the World Cup. I know everyone's not too happy in England, and the same goes for me, yeah. We can only hope and wish his family our sympathy, and hopefully they get over quickly. But when I was little, you know, we always looked at Bobby Moore as captain in England, captain of West Ham, great player for West Ham. And it's a shame that he's went so young, you know. But a fantastic footballer in his time, and we can only hope that England can definitely qualify for the World Cup for Bobby, and no doubt he'd be watching us.
So a rest for Gazza and all the top flight teams last week. But life went on in Serie B. Gary Bloom reports on the top games.
Ascoli in the black and white shirts had the early advantage against Bologna. They took the lead 18 minutes in. Argentinian Trollio's cross is headed in by Zarancelli.
Bologna have now fallen on hard times, and Ascoli was set to make it harder for them in the remainder of this one-sided game. Bologna's first half chances were thin on the ground. This one along the ground from Incocciati. The referee played a significant part in Ascoli's second goal. A breathtaking body check. It didn't stop Carboni winning possession and Cavalieri making it 2-0. Carboni not only had to take on Bologna's considerable defence, but also the considerable figure of the referee. This slack-fisted clearance by the former Milan goalkeeper, Pazzali, resulted in goal number 3. Cavalieri returned the shot with interest to make it 3-0. Ascoli, relegated last season, began the day in 4th spot. They were soon chasing goal number 4. It came 17 minutes from full-time. Zaini's shot is Serie A class. The goalkeeping belongs to Serie B. Zaini is Ascoli born and bred. Too many goals like this and he could be on his way to a bigger club. They say that 2 heads are better than 1. Zaini's corner is met by Trollio and Bierhoff. Ascoli 5 up. Bierhoff arrived from Germany last season. He's the club's leading goal scorer. This was his 9th this term. Ascoli's defence, which had looked just about bomb-proof, almost took a direct hit in injury time at the end of the game. Turkilmaz fouled for a penalty. It's an eccentric decision by the referee, but Ascoli, leading 5-0, knew they got the game won, especially when Turkilmaz was thwarted by Laurieri. Bologna hit for 5. The defeat cost their coach his job. Piacenza in red were looking to continue their recent improvement against Venezia. Their opening goal came 15 minutes in. Moretti's cross is headed down by Torini and De Vitis makes it 1-0. The whiplash reflexes of De Vitis is the key to the goal. He's rated as one of Serie B's best strikers. Venezia, who wear the quaintest strip in Italy, were levelled 2 minutes later through Mazzucato. The match was ultimately decided by an ex-certificate tackle that saw Rossi sent off. Rossi's brutal interception on Piovani could have been timed with a sundial. Reduced to 10 men, Venezia was soon reduced to chasing the game as Piovani headed Piacenza in front. Piovani didn't seem to be too worse for wear following the attempt to maim him earlier on. The sun came out in the second half and so too did Venezia. Romano went close. Then Maccoppi attempted to increase Piacenza's lead. Best goal last weekend in Serie B coming up. De Vitis' overhead kick leaves his teammates head over heels. This is De Vitis' 11th goal of the season. I doubt he'd have scored a better one. De Vitis might have had a hat-trick. Indeed he should, but the 2 goals alone will have Serie A's elite more than interested. Piacenza's march goes unchecked. They're now 6th. This was Serie B's match of the day. Reggiana in red, the league leaders against Lecce, who was second. Lecce unbeaten in 18 games. Reggiana almost took the lead when Scarbossa hit the crossbar. Then Morello put Lecce's defence on red alert. The quality of Reggiana's shooting proved to be their downfall. Paccione made a nuisance of himself before Scarbossa couldn't do likewise. A volley by Picasso proved to be no work of art. Into the second half now, and Lecce, who've forgotten what it's like to lose, suddenly remembered how to attack. Ceramicola is denied by the interception of Accardi. Lecce pride, rule number 1 of defending, get as many bodies between the ball and your goal. When Melchiori tried his luck, Reggiana just needed Bucci. Picasso then fired over the top, and at the death of the game, Reggiana almost grabbed a lifeline. Morello's diving header proved to be the home team's last chance. Lecce's last defeat came back in September against Reggiana. They'd learned their lesson well and are still on course for promotion to Serie A next season. Ternana in the dark jerseys currently prop up Serie B. Cosenza are looking for promotion. This is Statuto looking for an early goal for Cosenza. This move proved to be the highlight of an ordinary first half. Fiore almost eases Ternana into the lead. Ternana's bright passing game needed a cutting edge. Fiore is again involved in this attack. But it took an exceptional goal to settle an unexceptional match. Just after the hour mark, and Signorelli scores for Cosenza. Cosenza just missed out on promotion last season. They went into this game in 5th place, knowing that only a victory would suffice. Gazzetta tried to kickstart Ternana. Before this rugby scrum in the Cosenza penalty area failed to see Ternana convert the opportunity.
The narrowest of wins for Cosenza promoted Ternana are finding the going tough in Serie B.
So Reggiana keep their 3-point lead at the top from Lecce, while Ascoli and Cosenza were able to make up a little ground. Remember, 4 teams go up. Who will they replace? Well, the bottom of Serie A looks like this, with Pescara and Ancona apparently doomed. But any one of the next 8 teams could join them. Fiorentina are now involved in the dogfight, and their game tomorrow against Inter is vital. Genoa will be battling to get something from Lazio, while Udinese versus Foggia is another relegation battle. But our live match comes from the top of the table, from the San Siro, where the runaway leaders Milan faced the 1991 champions Sampdoria. James Richardson previews this match and reports on Milan's unsung hero.
Buongiorno, this is Milanello, home of AC Milan, home indeed of champions. And we're here today to talk to a man who is crucial to the Milan squad, but yet enjoys a rather lower public profile than some of his other colleagues. A man who lies about his own height, a man whose greatest ambition is to beat Roberto Donadoni at billiards, a man in short called Sebastiano Rossi. If the name doesn't ring a bell, these might help.
Here's Vialli, and he saved it! Driven back in by Casiraghi.
Foggia with a chance to make it 2-0. And De Biagio has his spot kick save.
Rambaldi, just a couple of paces back from the penalty spot, and he saved another one. Rossi to the rescue.
Yes, that's Sebastiano Rossi, the man who's stopped 3 consecutive penalties this season.
4 if you include the one at Atalanta last year, and a goalkeeper to whom Milan owe their unbeaten record. A very tall lad he is too. To avoid a permanent rictus to my neck, I suggested we both take a seat and asked him about his varying height. 6'5" according to Milan's records, 6'6" according to his family.
Niente, così, una questione personale. Io quando mi misuro sono 1,94 m, invece quando mi misura la mia fidanzata divento 1,97 m, non so perché.
Here in Italy, though, they've got a different explanation. They claim Rossi's altered his height because of the reputation overly tall keepers have of only being able to handle high balls. It's hard to know why he'd be worried, though. His prowess against shots of any kind doesn't need much further demonstration. He's let less goals past him this season than any other regular starting Serie A goalie. And in 2.5 years at Milan, he's never been beaten by a penalty. How has he managed such a phenomenal record?
Penso che non esista un esercizio specifico per poter parare i calci di rigore. Anche se devo dire che ho la fortuna di avere dei compagni di squadra che li sanno calciare molto bene, come i Papeni, i Van Basten, i Costa Curta. L'unico allenamento che è quello lì. Però sicuramente se li ho parati un po' di merito mio c'è, perché c'è uno, sì. 2, sì, 3, allora.
Well, when Rossi's not respinging the efforts of Serie A's best strikers, he's devoting his energy to his major off-field aim, ending teammate Roberto Donadoni's dominance of the Milanello Green Bays.
Stecchino, a stecca, sì. No, quando siamo in ritiro qua ci divertiamo giocando a biliardo e Roberto è uno, diciamo, dei più bravi e quindi con lui mi diverto tanto, anche perché diventa proprio una sfida vera e propria con Roberto.
On the football field, though, Rossi's dream remains firmly that of a place in the Italian national team. Despite his current spectacular form, he still hasn't found a way into Sacchi's squad. It's hard to make a name for yourself, after all, at Milan, behind the best defence in Italy.
Io mi sento ancora bene fisicamente, mi sto allenando bene, devo dire che sto ottenendo anche dei buoni risultati e quindi non mollo, ci credo.
Part of Rossi's problems has been the confidence in him at Milan. Rossi was seen as a short-term fill-in at the club while they waited for the younger Antonioli to mature. Antonioli's knee injury has finally given Rossi a regular place in the team, but amongst the likes of Baresi, Maldini and Tassotti, he hasn't had too many chances to prove his worth. In a side so good, he probably has to bring a good book to most games. Is life in the Milan goal too easy then?
Ma io non ho mai detto che è facile giocare in questa squadra, anzi secondo me è molto difficile, è bello giocarci ma è molto difficile perché le responsabilità sono tante, in più a mio avviso quando un portiere è poco impegnato quelle poche volte deve farsi trovare pronto e non è facile.
Rossi knows that it'll probably take just one mistake and he'll find himself back on the bench. Milan are still looking for their goalkeeper of the future and are making no secret of their desire to bring in at least one top-class replacement for next season. Iopo Cagliari is already booked. With this in mind then, Rossi can't afford to let his record slip. Well, last week, Milan actually had their first defeat in a
90-minute game since last April. It came in the friendly against Atletico Bilbao. 2 goals in the last 4 minutes, the second of which Rossi won't forget in a hurry.
Era tutta la partita che i tifosi del Bilbao mi buttavano queste bottigliette, palline di carta stagnola, così. Io continuavo a pulire l'area di rigore, ma si vede che me ne è scappata una e quando sono andato a calciare la palla ha picchiato lì, la palla ha avuto un rimbalzo falso.
The more wild-eyed here in Italy are optimistically predicting Bilbao as the start of a Milan collapse. Well, that it almost certainly won't be, but it is true that tomorrow Milan must face a Sampdoria side that's already given them one of their toughest tests so far this season, and that hard-fought 2-1 win in December.
Ma la Sampdoria sta giocando molto bene, adesso attua anche il pressing, quindi è molto difficile giocarci contro. Sarà una partita vera. Siamo una squadra da battere, è da tantissimo che non perdiamo, spero di continuare, però quando arrivano con noi ci mettono tutto quello che hanno, ecco, per poterci battere.
So there's the verdict from the big man himself. He'll be between the posts again for Milan tomorrow and probably scraping his head on the crossbar as well as Milan take on Sampdoria, looking for an incredible 56th consecutive game without defeat.
The match, of course, is live here on Channel 4 tomorrow afternoon.
So that's Milan versus Sampdoria, live here on Channel 4 at 1:45 tomorrow. Join us for that.